Alright, so this is a trading recap for Monday, February 13th. So today was the day before CPI, so CPI releases tomorrow morning. So I was playing it pretty risk off. I was playing it a little bit more safe. I did expect it to be a fairly choppy day, but it actually ended up being a trend day to the upside. So, you can always have your predictions, but at the end of the day, you just play what's in front of you, which is what I ended up doing for the first part of the day. So I took two trades today, both were scalps, and I ended up finishing just up 1.52% of my Webull. I'm kind of done with Robinhood at this point. I pulled out my funds and shifted them over. That platform is not good, especially with options, so I decided to just shift over to one broker. But anyway, so in pre-market prep, we went through how we draw the levels. Pre-market high and low are what we have now for our key levels. And so I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to first give you a few intraday supports and resistances that I drew. So whenever I have a large gap like you see here between fib levels or between zones, I still like to have intermittent targets where I can take profits if I need to, or I can use them as potential stop losses. So what I did here, I kind of went back to, there was no price action in this area from Friday, so I went back to the prior day, looked for some strong levels of support and resistance, which we ended up charting kind of throughout the day. There's a pretty large gap here, so we did that as well. And then you can see some other levels I drew in. So once we have some extra levels where we see gaps, we can go ahead and start the day. So I will walk you through kind of candle by candle and the trades that I took. There was a third trade and potentially even a fourth one that came up later in the day that I just didn't take because I hit my profit target, but I'll discuss those as well. So first candle, we end up closing right on this fib level and kind of zone support. Ended up having this pretty bullish candle here. Okay, so this is, I don't usually take trades too early in the day, but this was one that I decided to enter. So we had a huge bullish engulfing candle followed by this other bullish candle here, and then we had an increase in buying volume as well as this green MACD crossover. And this candle kind of blew through multiple levels as well as all of our EMAs and VWAP, and then what really solidified it for me was my buy signal indicator. So I took this buy signal indicator and I entered calls here, and really what I was looking for, because the pre-market high was so close to the current high from that candle, I was just looking to take profits at that candle right there, and then I was looking for my stop. If I just close below any of these EMAs, I would get my stop out. So let's go ahead and play this out. So we really only pulled back to this support right here, and then we kind of shot all the way up. We ended up blasting through pre-market high, but I ended up taking my profits right here, so that was a good trade, and that was the first trade of the day. At this point, I thought we would kind of consolidate for a while, but and kind of have a choppy day, but we ended up having a trend day. So let's see here, massive bullish engulfing candle. So I didn't want to enter anything here because you can see we ended up closing right under this supply zone top right here, which could be a resistance, so I just wouldn't take the risk, so I just sat this one out. And then I ended up taking a setup that was not an A+ setup. Like realistically, I shouldn't have taken this, but I ended up taking it anyway just because I was confident, kind of based on prior knowledge, and you've been staring at the charts for so long that sometimes you have this intuition, but still, retrospectively, I shouldn't have taken that. But if you look here, we had this strong bearish candle rejection off of this fib level, which I really liked, and then it also closed below this candle high and below, back into this zone right here. So I viewed this as a bearish signal. So I actually ended up entering puts here, and I was really conservative on my target. I was just looking to test the bottom of this demand zone on a pullback. I wasn't, looking for the entire trend of the day to change. And then my stop was just a close back outside of, back above this zone. So entered puts there. We're kind of consolidating here, haven't hit my stop yet. And right there I take my profits, and that was my second trade. So 2 out of 2 today on those puts. That one was kind of called out live in my entry and exit. So those were my two trades for the day. So a call and a put, and then I'll just kind of go through the rest of the price action. You can see here, as soon as we broke through this zone and this fib level, we shot all the way up to the next fib level resistance, closed right under it, and then actually subsequently had a pullback from that fib level. Rejected that fib level multiple times, then broke out and closed inside this overhead supply zone after breaking through the zone as well as this fib level. Continued up. Just a really strong day today, honestly, to the upside. And you'll see, this was really just consistent bull flags, right? So flag, breakout to the upside, flag. That's a really ugly flag, but I mean, you kind of see what we're doing here. We just have multiple flags just carrying us up with that bullish momentum. So we did end up rejecting. We had some wicks up here, but I think maybe we ultimately broke to the upside. Nope. So we're rejecting the supply zone multiple times. It looks like we're finding some resistance. Right here, I'd be watching this 9 EMA to break down. If it closed below that, I probably would like puts there. Okay, there we go. Didn't take anything there, but that could have been a nice scalp to the bottom of that zone. Huge bullish move after that. And on volume too. So at this point in the day, I was even more risk off because I noticed that even though price was trending in the upward direction, the MACD was red, and it doesn't show here. I think maybe I have to expand it, but we were also decreasing in strength. Like the MACD was getting more and more red, and it was having more sell pressure, whereas the price was increasing. So for me, that signaled potential weakness in this price action and a bearish divergence, which I set around here. So you could have watched for a pullback. I think we got a small pullback at some point, like here, right below the 21. But ultimately, we ended up finding support on this zone as well as the 21, and then continuing up. So I think we consolidate here for a while. So there was a really good trade opportunity kind of around this area. So first, let's kind of break down what happened here, right? We had this bearish inverted hammer candle on a huge uptick in volume. That was about 2.5x the volume of the prior candle. And then we had another candle, a bearish engulfing candle, on even more volume, and we got that red MACD crossover. So we're looking increasingly bearish, and then you'll see that we even form this bear flag. And now I'm starting to eye puts here, right? So if I see something like this forming, I'm eyeing puts, but I want to see a breakdown of that bear flag, and ultimately I want to eventually see those EMAs cross. So that flag breaks down, really strong right there, and then you see this this sell signal right here. So you could have actually gotten in on this candle, but since we closed right on the zone, it's a little bit of a risky entry. This candle is incredibly bearish. We got the sell signal from the indicator. We got this really sharp rise in volume, and our red MACD is, increasingly red. So this one was a tough one, because it really signaled right there. But if you took this, you could have had your stop. I mean, ideally your stop would be a close back above this zone. It's a pretty wide stop, so it's a little bit riskier, but that comes with the volatility, so you can enter puts there. So we don't end up closing outside of this zone, but we do end up wicking through. So that could scare some people. And then right here is where I texted, or I tweeted everyone should take their profits. So we were right here so we have a fib support, we have VWAP, and we have the bottom of the zone. So really strong support there. So I would have scaled out your puts. And you can see we tested another time, again bounce off, a third time, and then we have a bullish move from there. And then that's when we kind of continue up. So that was essentially the bottom of that pullback was on VWAP. So that was a really good trade opportunity that I did not take, but I kind of got some messages from people who took that. I think there was one more buy signal. So there's a buy signal here, which we did move up off that buy signal. And we did end up hitting this level of resistance right here, which you can see was from this candle. But that's really not the best signal. We do end up pulling back, which would have stopped most people out if your stop was a close below the 9 or any of these. And then ultimately we end up rallying up in the end. So essentially it was still a positive signal, but that one was pretty risky, and I think most would have gotten stopped out. But otherwise, yeah, pretty trendy day. If we zoom out, you can see that we kind of rode the 9 EMA and the 21 all the way up until around 1 p.m. Then we had this pullback, and then we recovered into the end of the day. So there's a full breakdown, and hopefully you guys learned something from this. Thanks.